Hello everyone. I'm recording a thesis statement, short discussion on thesis statement. There are three topics which we will be discussed in this short video. The first one is thesis statement, and the second one is how you make a thesis statement and how do you know if your thesis statement is strong. So the first one, thesis statement. It is a single sentence that presents the writer's argument. It is a roadmap, what to expect from the writing, and it also functions as your interpretations of a questions or a subject. So as a roadmap, it tells the reader what to expect from your writing. What do you plan to write in your writing? And it also provide as a direct interpretations. It also provide direct answer to questions you plan to answer. A thesis is your interpretations of a questions or a topic or a subject, but this is not the subject itself. This is your interpretations. So that's why we call it an argument. So your plan also, because this is interpretations, you try to interpret why this certain issue or a topic is certainly significant, and you try to show what is the significance of that topic. Lastly, the thesis statements also contain claims which other might dispute. Next. Thesis statement, according to other sources, has several criteria. First one, it has a clearly stated opinion, but a thesis statement does not bluntly announce the opinion. Here I will, in this essay I will, or something like that. That's a bluntly announced opinion. Probably you do not need to mention something like that. So you just directly mention the topic. The thesis statement is narrow enough to write a focused essay, but is also broad enough to write at least 3 body paragraphs. A thesis statement is clearly stated in specified terms and is easily recognized as the main idea. And then it is also forceful and it's very direct without too many explanations or unused or not useful additions. So just focus and direct to the point you try to discuss. And it's not softened with token phrase, in my opinion, I think, and so on. You can sometimes use that one for informal essay, but when you try to write academic essay, try to avoid using a personal phrase like in my opinion, I think, I, something like that. You can try to avoid it. Lastly, a thesis statement can list 3 main points that will be made. You can also provide more arguments, or you can even provide less argument. So for example, we have 3 arguments. It can be that 1 or 2 of them are a strong argument and another one is a weak one. So it can support each other, and 3 is quite manageable number. But if you only have 2 arguments and one of them probably strong and another one is weak, or both of them are weak, so you don't have a strong argument here. You can provide more arguments, but with more arguments, you have more burden, you have more challenge to provide supports to your arguments. So for many cases, 3 are recommended, and it's quite manageable to write. How to make a thesis statement? So this is a small flow chart on how to make a thesis statement. The first one, what you need to do is to collect the data. You need to collect and organize evidence. Look for possible relationship between those evidences, those facts, and if you find contrast, if you find similarity, if you find relationship like causal effect, this caused that one, something like that, or this can be described with this one. So those arguments, and you can see the relationship between the facts or the phenomenon, then you can try to link this phenomenon and think of the significance of this phenomenon. And after that, you develop your argument. The argument contains the argument as well as the thesis. So the argument is the main point or your topic, while the thesis is the main writing in term of single sentence. You call it the thesis or thesis statement. Then after that, while you are writing and developing your essay or paragraph, you try to make adjustment if you feel like this is not strong enough and you need some improvement. So with these things, we start from the data or evidence, and then developing argument, and then write, and then adjust. We start to do something inductively. We start from the data, information, or facts, and then coming to the arguments. So this is the correct one on how to make a thesis statement. Do not try to make something like, do not try to make deduction. So you start with the argument. You believe that A cause B, and then you find a proof. This might be possible, but then sometimes the findings in the field or the facts or informations might not really support your arguments. So in order to be objective and scientific, you need to start from the data. Start from the data, and then you collect the data, analyze the relationship. After that, you bring your own argument. So it is just like what happened when a judge tried to make a decisions in the court. So they will see and observe the data and evidence first, and after that they collect it together and then make decisions and make an adjustment if necessary. Next one is the example. Oh, sorry. The second one is your thesis statement strong? How to measure whether a thesis statement is strong or not? So you need to ask several questions to yourself. When you make a thesis statement, first ask if you answer the questions. Do you answer the questions or not? You need to reread the question prompt, the topic which you want to propose after constructing a working thesis. And then you need to make adjustment. You need to fix the holes, and you need to completely try to, if it is not possible, or you miss the focus of the questions, or you miss the detail, you can, for example, rephrase it. This will be helpful for you. Next is the second questions. Have I taken a position that other might challenge or oppose? So you need to consider whether your positions might still be debatable. Your argument, is it quite safe or it's quite debatable? If your thesis simply states facts that no one would ever disagree with, you are safe, and you just probably making a summary of things, but then it's not argumentative. You are safe, but it's not argumentative. It's not challenging for you. So you need to question. If you talks about descriptive essay, so you need to make a thesis statement which probably stating the fact or closely fact or opinion which majority of people will believe. But then if you talk about the argumentative essay, the more are debatable, the more challenge you have, then the more potentials of your argumentative essay to be valued highly by people. The third one is, my thesis statement specific enough? These questions is quite a common thing for us. You need to ask if your thesis statement are too vague, or if your thesis statement is quite vague, quite ambiguous, it's not strong. Probably it's not strong. If your thesis statement contains words like good or successful, you can try to change it into more specific one. Try to change something like what make it good. So for example, if you say that a certain movie is amazing, what make it amazing. In what way this is amazing? So something like that. The fourth one is, does my thesis pass the so what test? The better thesis statement always has something more than what it offers. So if you just have a questions and then it stopped to so what, and you cannot elaborate more, then it's likely that you need to clarify. It's likely that you need to revise, to reforge, and to connect certain informations, or finding better fact, or finding better evidences. The fifth questions, does my essay support my thesis specifically and without wandering? Whether your essay support your supports in your body paragraph, your explanation in the body paragraph support your essay specifically and not going around or going anywhere. So if your thesis and your body paragraph doesn't seem to work or go together, one of them needs to change. It either your thesis statement or either your body paragraph need to change. So it's okay to change your working thesis statement. It's also okay to change your support as long as you are in the process of writing. So it is always like a process of writing, drafting, feedback, revising, and then writing again, feedback, revising, and so on. So this is always process of circling process like that. The last question is, does my thesis pass the how and why test? If a leader's response is how or why, so your thesis seems to be open-ended and lack of details or lack of guidance for your readers. So you need to add more details. You need to add more informations or explanations to the reader so they better understand your positions right from the beginning. So let's try to apply those 6 questions into examples. Example 1, there is this is a thesis statement: internet influenced children positively and negatively. How do you answer the questions? You can analyze this if you rephrase or discuss the influence positively and negatively. In this way, you can see that you have answered the questions very generally, and it's potentially too broad for a thesis statement. Second question is, have I taken a position the other may oppose? It's not likely, because you mentioned both positive and negative influence of internet. So probably not many people will oppose, but if you try to select one of them, for example, like internet influence children positively or negatively, on the other another thesis statement, internet influence children negatively, you might raise oppositions. And in this case, you will be better than just summarizing your thesis statement, but you propose your own arguments to support this. Is my thesis statement specific enough? No, I think this is quite wide. What is positively influenced or what is negatively influenced? So there are so many things. Does my thesis pass the how and why test? No. Why they are positive? How are they positive? What are their causes? And those things we haven't mentioned it. And last question is, does my thesis pass so what test? No, why should anyone care about the positive influence or the negative influence of internet? If you feel like strongly feel about this and have strong evidence, you need to propose this. So because not probably, for example, like it is negative because this. So this is an example of how we can try to revise this into a stronger one. So we try to improve it into internet have high risk to children because parents cannot guide their children fully. Not every site is reliable and not every information is filtered. it's quite detailed, but then it depends. It really depends on how you develop your essay. So it's just an example of if you how you develop this thesis statement into argumentative text. But if you try to develop it into different genre of essay, for example, if you um, develop it into expositions or you try to develop it into descriptions, it might slightly differ from this one. Another question. Bong Joon-ho's Parasites is the best movie in 2010. So the same things, we have 6 questions here. The first one is how do you answer the questions, and then with this, how do you answer the questions? You can analyze this if you phrase Bong Joon-ho Parasite is the best movie in 2010, 2020. What questions you answer? The second question is, have I taken a position that other might challenge or oppose? You have a potentially challenge others into oppositions, but then it depends on how you elaborate this one, because this is quite general for me. Is my thesis statement specific enough? When you mention about the topic, Bong Joon-ho's Parasites is quite specific, but then when you talk about the best movie, in what sense it is specific? So you need to think about that one. Does my thesis pass the how and why test? Not yet, because this statement has an answer why it is a best movie or how it become a best movie. And then does my thesis pass the so what test? If, for example, other people says Bong Joon-ho's Parasite is the best movie in 2020, and so what? Why? So what? That's all I think. So because there are many other movies, better movies. So you need to answer this quite. Think about this one. And does your essay support your thesis specifically? It needs to compare your thesis statement with your body paragraph to see whether this support your thesis statement, or your thesis statement is goes together with your body paragraph. So we can, for example, change it into this examples. Bong Joon-ho's Parasites is unique because of its strong theme, multi-genre, and resonance with audiences. So this is an examples on how we can develop it into a more detailed and still debatable, because what is unique, what can be considered unique, because other people might suggest that they have a better one. All right, that's all I think. Thanks. Any questions? Let me know. This is the reference for these presentations.